What's up? I'm going to teach people how retail and distribution works from a unit economic or from a cost basis and profit margin standpoint. Typically, there are two types of distributors you're going to have to do. But first, you got to apply to these stores. You got to have the store say yes. Then you can get distribution, because distributors are not going to mess with you unless you're in stores. And once you're in stores, you can get distribution. And generally, a new brand is going to have to start with independent distribution. And it's not until you're in a lot of different stores that you can then get into, if you're doing natural grocery chain like we're doing, either a UNFI or KeHE. Like Mother's is an anchor account for UNFI. I think Sprouts is an anchor account for KeHE. If you get some of these big accounts, you can maybe go straight to one of these big time distributors. And so I'm going to go through some of the numbers so you understand how it works. I'm going to use $1 as the sale cost to make money doing this, and I should look at your own profit margin. Generally, you want to have a profit margin of about 40% to 50% starting a business. Then you have enough room for like 20% of marketing and other fees that are going to be involved. And independents typically are easy to work with. It's pretty simple. It's basically they're going to want a 30% markup or profit margin. The way the profit margin works is their sell cost. They're going to sell something for the cost that they bought it, and you're going to divide it by the cost. You're going to divide it by the cost that they're selling it for. So this is basically the formula. It's the price that the retailer or distributor sells it for minus the cost divided by the sell price. Then you get percentage profit margin, right? I can't read this, but hey, sell cost minus cost divided by the sales cost, you get the profit margin. Is that's how these people work. So we're going to use $1 as the cost for the business to sell it, and it's pretty simple for these independents. Sometimes there's pickup fees and things like this, like $150 pickup fee that makes it easy. But basically, for independent, generally they're going to be selling it for. Let me just lower this a little bit. They're gonna be let's say you sell your product for $1. They're gonna mark it up. Typically, independents mark up about 30%. I'm gonna bring this closer at some point, and that means that they're gonna sell it to to the grocery stores for $1.50. So now they're making 50 cents per unit profit, but their profit margin is going to be 30%. And so then the grocery store, which is like MSRP, when you're at the grocery stores, typically want 40% profit margin. And so that means they're going to be selling it for around $2.50. So basically, you sell something for $1. The distributor is going to sell it for 50 cents more for their 30% profit margin. And then on top of that, the retailer is going to want their 40% profit margin, and they're going to sell it for $2.50. So that means something when you see at the store is $2.50, it might be a value of $1 for the brand that sells it, which is why retail is hard. Retail is hard. I sell something for $1. You guys are buying for $2.50. That means, is there enough meat on the bone? Am I making 50 cents per unit? At that point, I'm making 30% profit margin. By the way, if you're doing the math out there, understand I actually included a freight cost per unit on this. So it's based upon the UNFI and KeHE numbers. Basically, you sell it for $1, then you're going to add a tiny amount of freight per unit, and then this is how this calculates. So actually this would be $1, basically 5 cents, $0.045. So the way that KeHE and UNFI works is different. You sell it for $1, different deals they have for different stores. For instance, the most you'll probably usually pay for KeHE or UNFI when they're delivering from the distribution centers into one of the stores is, say, 20% profit margin. And you sell it for $1. And then they sell it for $1.31. And then that goes to, for the 40% markup, you get $2.19. So if your distributor's profit margin is only 20%, this is what it looks like. You sell your thing for $1 still. At the store, it's a $2.19 rather than $2.50. That's 31 cents less. This will probably move faster just with the 20% profit margin. But that's like worst case scenario. These big distribution companies like KeHE and UNFI have different discounts for each store, and the best you're probably gonna get is like with Whole Foods is 8% markup, so it can go from 8% to around 20% markup. But still, if you're using a UNFI and KeHE, that means you're basically making the same profit, but your product's 31 cents cheaper, which means it probably has more velocity. That means you're making more sales. You know, more stores with these big boys, which is another benefit, but they also have all these fees and deductions and things that like I'm gonna have to learn a lot more about that I'll get into another time. But let's look at, this is 20% for the, but let's look at it for like a Whole Foods or something with UNFI. It's $1, I sell for $1. They get their 8% markup, which is $1.14. I'll write it right here later. And then I have really bad handwriting if you can't tell, which means then you're selling it for $1.90. So this is some of the beauty of these big time distributors that can be a total pain, is that for like a Whole Foods deal, you can sell it for $1. They have only an 8% profit margin, which means they make $1.19 profit, the distributor UNFI KeHE, which then means you have an ultimate MSRP at Whole Foods for $1.90, which is 60 cents less than using an independent broker right here, a distributor. And $1.90 is also 29 cents less than the bad deal with KeHE. Regardless, you're saving 31 cents using a KeHE, but they're gonna like hit you with fees, they're gonna hit you with deductions, hit you with spoilage. When you're in these big boys, they don't mess around. They wanna make sure that they're making their money when they can. But the beauty is, if your product's great and it sells fast, you can sell it for this. You're making the same amount of money per unit, and probably you'll be making more money because your velocity's higher, your volume's higher, which will then allow you to scale faster. But you can sell it for $1.90, a product 60 cents less. People are more likely going to buy it, especially in this economy. So that's kind of a breakdown. But the point is, it just shows you like a product, minimally 90 product. That means there's 90 cents of profit after it leaves the hand that is going to that. That's like 90 cents, $1. That means it's like 90% of the value is now being exchanged to the distributor, to the grocery store. So people don't understand. It's not like we're making 5 cents of profit from the retailer in this. Everyone wants to make their margin. The distributor wants to make their margins. The grocery stores want to make their margin. It's one of the toughest parts about starting a food business is people don't really talk to you or tell you about this. So I wanted to make these videos, and maybe one day someone's going to look at them and understand it a little bit better. And this is my first whiteboard one, and I'll get better at it. But appreciate you guys. Hit that like and subscribe button. Send this to your friend that doesn't understand the difference between independent distributors and big boys like KeHE and UNFI. If you haven't tried Yobi, try it, but whatever. Let's teach people. That's what I'm here to do, because I have learned through the ignorance tax of hitting my head against the wall. Have a great day, guys. Love you all. Love one another. You don't know what anyone's going through. Love y'all.